What's it like when one of your friends on death row is led away to be executed?
Well, you spend, years and years and months and hours of every day with a person. You talk every day, hey, what are you doing? And, let's eat something, let's make something to eat. And, he eventually comes by one day and is like, yeah, I gotta go, man. And when he leaves and turns his back and walks down them steps, he ain't coming back. They're gonna kill him.
About an hour's drive south of Chicago in the state of Indiana is one of America's oldest and most notorious maximum security prisons. The majority of the 1,900 inmates here are serving long sentences for unspeakable crimes.
And when I came at you, I wasn't just going to stick you an inch. I was going to run something all the way through. Get out of here!
12 are due to be executed on the orders of the state. For 2 weeks, I was given privileged access to this dark and forbidding world.
I do deserve to be executed. Bottom line, I ain't gonna candy coat it. I deserve to be executed.
Welcome to Indiana's state prison.
Thank you.
My introduction to the prison was dramatic. The man who runs it, Superintendent Bill Wilson, agreed to take me to death row.
So this is actually the entrance.
This is the actual entrance, and it's 2 floors. We only have 12 men on the row right now.
You have to sign yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
The superintendent comes to death row every week to check on how the inmates are coping.
Superintendent, these are the pictures of people on death row?
Correct. These are the 12 gentlemen that are on death row, and it shows their cell location so that staff never have to question where they're at. No staff members are allowed on the unit when the offenders are out. So the offenders actually will secure themselves in the cells, and then their cell doors will be closed or opened as they need to come in or out.
Do you like any of these people?
They're all different in many ways, and I am respectful of who they are, what they are. Would I call them my friends? No, but there's some characters here that have some personality characteristics that you would say are likable.
He knows them all by name, and they know him.
McManus, it always amazes me how clean that cell is. Keep it up,
There's a lot of time in here.
I know.
Hello.
Staying out of trouble?
Yeah.
All right. Wilkes, how's your eyes? You been over to medical at all?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm all right. How are you?
Just 1 second. How you been?
I'm all right. You?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Hi.
Is tension high?
Not for me.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Ritchie?
What's up?
All right.
What's all this?
Mr. Ritchie's wife, I believe, is from England.
Which part of England is she from?
St. Albans.
Uh-huh, in Hertfordshire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I met her about 4 years ago on a pen pal, and we hit it off instantly. And she came over, visited, couldn't get enough, and married me.
How often do you get a chance to see her?
Every weekend.
Do you mind doing this?
No, not at all. Man.
Yes. It is very, very unconventional, though, because the end game in this relationship is one that you know and she knows.
Well, yeah, kind of, because a lot of guys can get off death row. A lot of us are getting off death row. But cases like mine and like another gentleman back here, we didn't kill no women or kids. We were charged with shooting a police officer, and they just don't let guys like us, no matter if you got good issues in your case or not, legal issues to let you off death row, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
She knows that, and she married you.
I know. I found something now. See, I was a stupid kid at 19 and 20. I made very poor decisions. I would make decisions. I would do things without thinking about them, and I didn't give a damn about the consequence at all. That kid, to me now, 32 years old, that kid's gone. I'm not saying I'm rehabilitated. You know.
You're not saying that?
No, I'm not. But I am
Why
saying,
not?
because I'd be bullshitting you. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I'm the kind of guy that does need to be in prison.
Why are you the kind of guy who needs to be in prison?
Because I'm the kind of guy, if I get fired from a job and I can't find a job, I'll do it the legal way, try to get a job, and I can't find a job, and I can't pay my bills, I'll go get a gun and I'll pay my bills. And I won't think nothing about it. It won't bother me at all.
You've described the person you are, but how do you see your life looking down the line? Where does it go? Where does it end up?
Either in a box or doing a life sentence in population. That's my choices right there. Doing a life sentence or being in a box. And I gotta watch my wife grow old through these bars.
Out in the general population, convicts are allowed yard time, 2 hours recreation every day. Save for taking showers and meals, this is their only opportunity to mix and to make allies.
Have you been here a long time?
27 years.
How many?
27 years.
27 years.
I was heading to the Administrative Segregation Unit with Lieutenant Gillespie. The men here are among the prison's most dangerous.
This is Sergeant Fagan. This is his unit.
They got it on the flag, folks. Get out of here!
Many of the offenders here are gang members, drug dealers, and sexual predators. Everything they do is monitored and carefully controlled.
Could you tell me what this list of names is all about?
All right. Every cell house in Indiana State Prison has one of these. The idea behind this is to make sure we know where everyone's at, what they're doing, who they are, why they're here, etc. For example, if someone would accidentally take out 508 and 509 together, and let's say 508 owes 509 money, so 509's mad about it, and they get put in the shower together and the door's locked, and he has a weapon on him, 508 could lose his life. Like that. Just because someone made that mistake. So that's why it's important to really understand this board.
Do you feel that you must be constantly vigilant?
These guys have nothing but time. Okay, we're going home, so we're thinking about going to dinner with the wife, going to dinner with the mom, whatever. These guys have nothing but time. They're sitting here, and these guys, they're smart. They don't forget. So let's say you made them mad 2 weeks ago. You forgot all about it. They don't. So let's say you're sitting here minding your business, doing something, come up behind you and assault you. Yeah, you got to be awake. You got to be on your toes.
The offenders in this unit are locked down for 23 hours a day. And when they're allowed out for their 60-minute break, they're kept apart in individual steel cages. One of the men is 38-year-old Ronald L. Sanford. By any measure, and in any prison community, his is an exceptional story.
When did you come here to Indiana State Prison?
Oh, well, I came here in 1989 at the age of 15 years old. I was actually convicted of the crime that I'm here for at the age of 13 years old.
And what was the crime?
Double homicide. So I committed a double homicide at the age of 13 years old. At the age of 15, my case had ran its course through the court, and I was sitting here to this prison in 1989.
A double homicide,
yes, sir,
at the age of 13?
13, yes, sir.
That's very, very young.
It's tragic, to say the least, and it is very young, absolutely. It's unheard of, you know. Wow. It's unspeakable, to say the least. Even reflecting on it almost 25 years later. In August, it'll be 25 years since that crime took place. It's still very vivid, it's still very poignant, it still resonates, and it still has the same amount of tragic elements involved in it now as it did then. And it will always be with me for the rest of my life. I always say it's like an albatross around my neck. No matter where I go or what I do for the rest of my life, it'll always be with me.
What were the circumstances which led up to the incident which led you in prison at the age of 15?
Me and a friend had basically planned to get money to go to a fair. And to do so, we're gonna cut grass. And we went to a home basically, and they said they didn't want their grass cut. And rather than continue on the vein and go to the next home, we decided to push into the home, essentially. And it ended in a double homicide. It's that simple. And for our complicity in that crime, I was sentenced to 170 years, 170.
You got a sentence of 170 years.
Yes, sir.
However you cut that, you are not going to get out of here.
I'm eligible for parole when I turn 100 years old.
Have you ever thought about all the things that you have missed that other 15-year-olds go through as part of their normal lives?
Absolutely. I've never been to the prom, I've never driven a car, I've never had a driver's license, I've never filed tax returns, I've never been on an airplane, I've never traveled abroad. Yeah, should I continue? My life has been lived in this prison, and it seems as though I've been in this prison so long that I've never been free. 25 years in prison, you know, it's a long time.
Especially when you come in at the age of 15.
Yeah, really.
Ariel, thank you so much for talking to me. Thank you for taking the time.
I appreciate you.
My first meeting with Sanford was a shock, but there were more disturbing cases at Indiana State Prison. One of the oddities of the American prison system is that an inmate can spend 20 years on death row exhausting the appeals process before he is executed. In all that time, convicts are confined to this cell block and have little contact with the rest of the prison. Paul McManus killed his wife and 2 young daughters.
Mr. McManus, the first thing I noticed about your cell that is terribly clean, very different from any of the others.
Right.
Why is that?
I feel if I don't use it in a month, then I probably don't need it.
Yeah, but it's more than that, isn't it? It's particularly clean.
Well, me personally, I don't read or write, so I have a lot of time on my hands. So I clean because I don't write letters, I don't read books. There's only so much on TV you can watch before they show repeats, so it gives me a lot of time. So I just take pride in cleaning my cell.
Was your life before you came to prison very similar? Were you a very tidy person then?
Not so much. I worked a lot, so I was always busy, so I like to stay busy. It keeps my mind, so it works both ways, I guess. You know, I keep busy in here, but I pretty well have done all I can do in here. I might have to move to a different cell and do the same thing, but I've been here over a decade, so I'm just now getting it where I like it.
Does being on death row take a physical, emotional toll on you?
Oh, it's definitely up and down. Definitely. Now, I did weigh 250 pounds almost 2 years ago, and now I weigh 166. Now I have pictures of them if you would like to see them. I got them right here, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
And you see the difference.
So this is
It's all me.
this is all you. So you lost a lot of weight.
Right. As you know, it's depression a little bit, you know, and it's also just, I mean, it's like I said, it's a roller coaster. It's up and down.
McManus sees more of Indiana State Prison than the other men on death row. He's a diabetic and is allowed a daily visit to the prison hospital. The authorities must treat him, although they will, in all probability, put him to death one day.
Well, here we are, out of death row and into the sunlight. Is this the only chance you get to mix with the rest of the general prison population?
Yes, we don't have a lot of contact with them, so it is nice to be able to come out and see people that you've maybe been locked up with that are not on the road no more. And every once in a while, you can, you know, have a little bit of contact with that person, just for a brief second.
Were you on any kind of medication, like insulin, before you came to prison?
Absolutely none. Zip. Now, you know, I take quite a few pills and the insulin shot. It all comes down to the food and also how you know, you have your ups and downs where you gain weight and then stuff like that. So, I mean, that does play a factor. All my friends I brought with me. What's nice about, well, if there is a nice thing about being a diabetic is that you do get to get out and come over to the hospital daily, and then to be around regular people, it's nice.
Yeah.
Put you back to normal. All right.
All right, thank you.
See you later.
The rest of the prison is distinctly different from the oppressive gloom of death row. Lunchtime in cell block C. Prisoners have a chance to spend time in the open air. They can also earn privileges. Some have jobs and can request a haircut twice a month. All the barbers are convicts. Rick Parrish is serving 3 life sentences, plus 10 years.
I must say, walking into this place is one of the most extraordinary experiences I've had for a long time. You wouldn't have thought that this was a barbershop or in a maximum security prison.
Well, we work hard to keep it unique in here because we like the atmosphere. We like being able to come in here and relax. It's neutral territory for gangs, for officers. I mean, if you come to the barbershop and you're a gang member, would you start trouble with a guy that's standing here with a pair of shears in his hand like this?
No, I wouldn't.
I suspect not, too.
That's why there's no trouble in here.
There's still, though, this feeling of unreality about people with instruments like these in a maximum security prison.
I've been here 37 years. We've never had an incident in the barbershop. We've never had an incident with the shears. Never had a problem.
You've been here since the 70s. That's a long time.
January 75.
Long time.
Yep. Well, you know, if you do it a day at a time, like most of us do, you do time a day at a time. Sometimes an hour at a time, sometimes a minute at a time, whatever it takes to get through. Then you look up one day and 37 years have went by. There you go, young man.
All
you
right.
have a good day.
Thank you.
Rick, what are we looking at here?
A little history of the penitentiary and the barber shop. The shop was remodeled in August of '76, and that's the first picture taken in this
There.
shop. Yeah.
Is that you there?
Yes, it is.
So this is your wall?
Yeah, I'm all over the wall because it is my wall. And this.
And you're pumping iron here?
Yeah, that was probably 20 years ago when I was eating anything that didn't move and pumping iron at the same time.
So this is a catalog of your life in pictures?
Yeah, because you can see the progress from what I looked like in '76 up here to where I'm at right now. Here, that's the newest picture.
What emotions do they invoke?
Wishing I was out there doing it right. Wishing I could start all over again at 29, 30 years of age and not make the mistakes I made. But you get past, after 37 years, you better be past all that. You know, have your head screwed on, you know, make the best of what you have.
But the pictures are constant reminders.
Yeah, what was. You know, that's like, you know, all of us that got here were violent criminals to get here.
What was your violent crime, Rick?
I'm in here for kidnap robbery. I pulled a robbery, and the car I had wouldn't start, so I commandeered a vehicle, and there was 3 people in it.
All the pictures here, you have it on, mounted on cardboard?
Yeah, it's on cardboard, so if I ever get out, I can take it with me. That's what it's for. I fold it up and take it with me as a reminder. You don't want to go back.
Back down 200. Camera crew on 200. Camera crew.
I went back to the administrative segregation unit to see Ronald L. Sanford again. His story haunted me. A killer when he'd barely entered his teens.
RL, hi. How you doing?
I'm all right, yourself?
Good. How do you get accustomed to life in this environment?
It takes some getting used to. It's tough. There was a young man on the range, a very young man, maybe 19, 20 years old. He's exhibiting psychosis. They took him to see the psychologist because he's having trouble adapting. This is an abnormal environment for a human being, certainly. You know, these are essentially cages. And to think that we stay in them 24 hours, 23 hours a day, come out for an hour a day, it's taxing.
May I have a look in your cell about...
Absolutely.
Have a look at some of the books?
Absolutely. You absolutely may. So.
Yes, Lieutenant, would you mind opening up? I'd just like to have a look.
Yes, sir. You can take whatever down you want to take down.
And war against the weak, what's that about?
Eugenics.
Eugenics?
Yes, sir. America's attempt to make a master race, essentially.
And this one is the tree of life. What that's about?
Yes, it's Kabbalah, actually. It's more metaphysics, essentially. Those deep questions about man, where he comes from, where we're going, and who we are, essentially, yes.
I see that you have, in addition to your books, you have some of your own writing on the walls here. Strength, well-being, and health.
Yes. Just something I try to focus on. If there's anything I want to stay my mind on, as I always say, is something progressive. So being strong and having a good disposition and being in good health are certain things I definitely want to focus on.
And you have written here, no man is your enemy, no man is your friend, every man is your teacher.
Yes, sir.
I'm also standing here, and I think these are the parameters of your of your existence.
Existence, absolutely. These four walls.
It's a pretty isolating place.
It really is, if you see it as such. It's isolated only to the extent that you think it is. You know, I mean, those books allow for a great escape and for to be able to leave the confines of the wall. So,
but I'm only in here for a few minutes, and I feel it as such. I feel it. I feel the isolation.
Everybody in this building feels the confinement that we're suffering here. You know, you put an animal in a cage for too great of a length of a time, it goes crazy. You know, how much more so humans? You know, so.
This is what Sanford looked like when he came here at the tender age of 15. His murder of 2 elderly women in 1987 netted him the meager sum of $5. On that vile act, he must reflect for the rest of his life. Prison life moves to the relentless and monotonous beat of an unchanging routine. Some inmates get the chance to relieve the tedium by working. At the end of his shift, Rick Parrish, the barber, returns to what's called an honor cell, to which only the most trusted prisoners are assigned.
And they're all two-man cells?
Two-man cells.
Yeah.
This is my cell here.
Rick, who opens the doors? Is that controlled
by the computer? Up in the office there's a computer, controls all the doors, controls our water.
May I come into your cell?
Sure, please.
Thank you. And this is your cellmate?
Mike.
Hi, Mike. I'm Trevor McDonald.
Nice to meet you.
How long have you been sharing a cell with Rick?
Oh, about 2.5 years. Isn't that about right, Rick?
Yep, that's correct.
So which is your side?
Right
this is your side. It strikes me, too, that there has to be a rather clear division of what's yours and what's Mike's.
That's Mike's cabinet over there.
Yeah.
And he has all his commissary and stuff in there. This is my cabinet here. And I have my commissary and things in here. But in general, we're sharing a space.
You have to try to give the other person their privacy. If he's doing something and he's up walking around, I try to stay over there. And he does the same for me. Just try to take turns doing things, because it is close quarters.
So this is an improvement from any other part of the prison?
You've been in regular cell house. You've seen how they live over there. You've heard the noise. You hear how quiet it is. It stays quiet like this most times. And sure, you have to put up with another human being, but it's worth it. It's worth the sacrifice.
Rick's honor cell does not insulate him from one stark reality. Death row is within shouting distance in the same block.
What is it like to live so close to death row?
Well, I just block it out. I don't pay any attention to it. I'm a barber, and I won't even go over there and cut hair because I don't want to get to know any of them. You lose enough friends through attrition in here as it is without them being on death row. So I don't even want to get familiar with them.
Why don't you want to get familiar with them?
Because you get friendly with them, you get to know them, and they get executed, you've lost another friend.
Does the mood change perceptibly just before an execution, in the days before an execution?
Yeah, it gets even quieter. You know, everybody knows the last one, I think, was Wiggles. He stopped here, hollered down through there, "I'll see you, fellas."
He said that?
Yeah, he hollered out. Everybody's usually awake. We used to, midnight, we used to beat on the bars.
And how many times has that happened since you've been here? How many executions have there been since you've been here?
I've never kept track. Like I said, I try not to dwell on it, so keeping track of them would, there'd be too many as far as I'm concerned.
Rick Parrish says he's never kept track of the number of executions. Someone on death row obviously has. Every one of the 12 men on death row will one day be told the date and time of his execution. That common fate inspires unusual friendships. John Stevenson was a member of an organized criminal gang. He assassinated 3 people. Benjamin Ritchie, who had met before, killed a police officer.
Hi, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. You been all right?
Yeah. Good to see you.
Yeah. How you doing?
Good to see you. Good. You two are in adjoining cells. How long have you been friends?
About 11 years. Since I got here on death row. He was already here when I got here.
How did this friendship come about? What drew you to each other as friends?
Well, we got the same interests. I mean, we play our music loud, we play video games, we work out, play basketball, eat together. If shit goes down, we whoop a motherfucker's ass together. That's how our friendship came about.
Does that mean you have a lot in common?
Yeah.
Well, I thought we did.
You're not sure anymore?
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't want you two friends to argue about that.
No, we're not going to argue.
Oh, hell
no.
no.
What's it?
No, I mean...
If anything, we always argue, but we've never come to blows over nothing.
No, never.
We're like, fuck
That'll
you,
never
fuck
happen.
you, and then half hour later, hey, what we eating tonight? It's over.
Yeah.
It don't matter. It don't mean nothing.
I'm always right in the end, so...
Fuck out of here.
He's the voice of reason. You're the voice of anger, from what you say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that right?
He keeps a leash on me, yeah. Like, I'd rather lash out at somebody. Like, when I first met Boyan, he hated me because I was just a straight up asshole. I'd be in your face, fuck you, come on in the shower and let's fight. And I calmed way down since then. Yeah, most of the police, they couldn't stand my ass. And I got allowed around older cats and they calmed me down.
From your point of view, what's this friendship based on? We heard from Ritchie what he thought about it.
Trusting each other, And, basically that's, trust.
Like if shit goes down, I got his back, he's got mine. See, that's why they moved us, because he got into it with a dude up here, and almost killed him. And the police had to come in and stop it. And after they broke it up and everything, administration got wind that I was gonna try to kill the dude because he cut my buddy with a knife. And so they moved me and my buddy Tex here to the back and moved dude up in the front by himself, so nobody could get to the dude. Within the first 2 weeks of being on death row, I watched a man get murdered in front of me, get stabbed up 42 times, dispatched instantly. And that was my wake up to death row. Like, if you come here, you want to be a bully, you want to take shit from people, this is what's going to happen to you. The dude was just butchered.
Although you witnessed something so horrendous, you still sound pretty angry.
But see, here's the thing. If you show any sign of weakness in here, the sharks will circle. I won't be a victim. I'll be one of the sharks.
I think the sharks are going to circle regardless.
average sentence at Indiana State Prison is 52 years. In Britain, that might seem like 2 life sentences, but it's infinitely preferable to having an execution order hanging over your head.
Hello.
Lieutenant Boyan has taken me to E Block to meet one prisoner who has escaped the death penalty.
What's up, Harrison? How you doing? Trevor, this is Offender Harrison. I've known Offender Harrison
Hello.
for probably around 6 years. I knew him here, and also he was on death row before.
How was it that you managed to move from death row, which is not a particularly pleasant environment, to this, which is comparatively much more pleasant?
The court ordered me a new trial, and they gave me years instead of the death penalty. So,
how did you get that new trial?
the judge that was in my trial was biased, so they ordered a new trial. And instead of taking the whole thing, I just went ahead and took the deal, which was 150 years.
150 years?
It's a long time, isn't it?
That's a very, very long time indeed.
In other words, I'll die in here. No way I can make out. No way. I'm 62 now. My out date is 66. So there's just no way in the world I can make it out.
There are people who might think that there's not a lot of difference between being on death row and having been given 150 years at the age of 62.
It was like you said, there's still hope there. There's no hope on death row. Once they put you to death, that's it. There's no more wondering what's going to happen. There's no more trying to work your way out of it. There's nothing.
Still, in a way, a kind of death sentence.
It is a death sentence. But you got a lot more freedom out here. And you might as well take the freedom and live your life out here, and having a job and being able to work and go to the chow hall and go to the chapel and do that than to sit up here and just wait to die.
How long were you on death row?
18 and a half years.
What was it like to spend so long knowing that you faced execution?
It was very, very hard. Very hard. It's hard to do it up on X row. Sitting there waiting for your last meal, your last day, not knowing when it's going to come.
Why were you on death row?
They said I killed 3 people. That's what I was up there for.
You would probably have been executed.
Executed, yes.
Had a date been set for that?
Yes, I had about 2 months.
That was a pretty close run thing.
Yes.
What was that moment like for you when you heard that you had avoided execution?
It was a great moment. It was a great moment. Even though I still got a lot of time to do, like you said, where there's life, there's hope.
As he said, James Harrison will not leave this prison alive. But he knows he'll never be strapped to a gurney and given a lethal injection just after midnight. Like most of the inmates, Harrison now enjoys the strange freedom of not knowing the date and time of his death. Before leaving the prison at the end of my first week, I asked to see Benjamin Ritchie again. But this time, face to face. In the year 2000, he shot and killed a policeman. At the time, Ritchie was on parole for burglary. With less of the bravado he showed in the company of his friend, I wanted to hear his view of his life and his crime.
Talk me through the incident which led you to be here.
Well, my crime is shooting a police officer and killing him. And it started off, you know, pretty harmless as a theft crime. Me and my friends would ride around and carjack people and take their rims from their cars from them. And my buddy's car was already full, so I decided, let's get a van or a truck and we fill it up with some rims and take it back and we can go sell everything. I got in a high-speed chase and wrecked into a house and jumped out and took off running. I was trying to get away, you know, but the cop was young and he was on my ass. And I thought maybe if I, you know, take my gun out and fire it a couple times, it'd scare him because, you know, he's a Beach Grove police officer. It's kind of a good neighborhood. Like, how many times has he been shot at, you know? You know, if that bullet would have hit just less than half of an inch lower, he'd be alive today. And I'd probably have a long, lengthy prison sentence, but I wouldn't be on death row, man.
How were you apprehended? How were you caught?
Well, I actually got away. I made it back actually a few blocks away to some family's house and a girl I was seeing and got away. And I didn't know I killed him until I got back to the house and seen it on the news, and that just destroyed me. I knew I hit him in the backyard, but I didn't know he was dead, right? I fell asleep. The next thing I know, I wake up and hear my buddy says they're outside. I wake up and it was like in the movies. You see a whole bunch of red dots from their guns going in and out the windows. And I was like, yeah, it's bad, man. I told him go ahead and go out, leave the house. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't have no gun, I couldn't fight no more, so I just gave up.
What went through your mind when the court pronounced you guilty?
Well, I was trying to portray a tough guy in court, so when they gave me the death sentence, I laughed at them. And the prosecutor told everybody that's the voice of evil, which I would agree at the time, yeah. You know, I deserved the death penalty. I was young and didn't care about anybody at all but myself or anything. And I deserved that sentence at the time. And yeah, I just pretty much laughed at them when they gave it to me. But then, you know, when I was by myself, it really sunk in like, man, you're more than likely going to be executed one day. And it hit me hard, you know. So I put my face in my pillow and, you know what I mean, cried a little bit. And
was it inevitable that sooner or later you would end up in a place like this?
I always knew as a kid I'd probably end up in prison. Yeah. It's weird because when I was a kid, I was fascinated with prison movies. Every time we'd drive by prison, I would wonder, what are those guys doing? What's it like in there? What are they up to? You know what I mean? Why should I care? I'm a kid, why should I care? But because I just always knew I was going to end up in there because I just had a problem with the rules, with authority. And as you can see, I'm here because of that.
Because you killed the police officer, you face execution. If it does come to that, would you face that moment with deep regret, with remorse, or with defiance?
I would definitely regret it and definitely have remorse. But I'd also have a little defiance, like, why are you killing me? You said killing's wrong, but yet you're premeditatedly strapping me to this table and you're gonna poison me to death. You're gonna kill me. And that's what I would, you know, resent.
So these are the steps which an inmate who is about to be executed would take into this area.
Correct.
Next time, I talk to the man who could be next in line to be executed.
When you sit here now on death row and you reflect on what you did, what do you think?
I deserve to be here.
I meet Roscoe the cat.
Well, I expected a male because I put in for a male cat. And then about a month later, I realized it wasn't a boy.
And a killer who never knew his victims.
You were offered money
Yes.
to kill.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I've never believed in the death penalty myself, but when I think about what you do, I begin to understand why people feel it should be the appropriate sentence for crimes like yours. Do you understand that?
I do deserve to be executed. Bottom line, I ain't gonna candy coat it. I deserve to be executed.
About an hour's drive south of Chicago in the state of Indiana is one of America's oldest and most notorious maximum security prisons. The majority of the 1,900 inmates here are serving long sentences for unspeakable crimes.
And when I came at you, I wasn't just going to stick you an inch. I was going to run something all the way through you.
Camera crew on 200.
12 are due to be executed on the orders of the state.
Hi.
For 2 weeks, I was given privileged access to this dark and forbidding world.
Stealing cookies as a 7-year-old boy in school turned into a 20-year-old killing a cop, landing himself on death row. It went from stealing cookies to shooting a cop.
Welcome to Indiana's state prison. My second week at the prison began back on death row. The 12 men here are locked in their cells for 23 hours a day. They're given a single hour's recreation. Taking his is Frederick Baer. His crime, the murder of a mother and her young daughter. Baer could be next on the list to be executed.
Is this your exercise routine?
Yeah, this is my recreation right now. You want down, Mama?
And how's the cat?
That's my girl, so.
Looks particularly well fed.
Always.
What's your exercise routine?
Well, it usually consists of the leg press machine or going outside or hitting the weights or sitting there calling somebody, your loved ones and your family on the telephone. You know, or you can just sit up there like I was doing and just writing a letter, writing my girl over in Germany, so.
Is she in Germany doing what?
She's in Germany probably right now getting ready to fix supper. So, her name is Susan, and she's a very beautiful person.
It must be strange having a relationship when you're A, so far away, and when you are in the circumstances that you are.
Ain't gonna sugarcoat it. Most of us probably won't get off death row. We'll be executed, or we'll die from our appeals running out of, whatever health reasons or whatever. I hope maybe one day I might get off. But the reality and the truth of that, I probably won't. There's like 16 levels to death row appeals, from the start all the way to the finish. And that's not including clemency, asking the governor for, please, grace. And
which stage are you at?
I'm on 13. I've been here 7 years. My appeals have been going since then, and I'm kind of rapid on mine. That's what tells me I don't know if I'll get off or not.
It sounds from what you say and what you admit yourself that time is running out.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's the reality of my situation. When your time runs out, you're handcuffed and you're strapped down. They stick a needle in your arm and they kill you. It might sound cold, but that's the reality.
The last man to be given a lethal injection at Indiana State Prison was Matthew Eric Wrinkles. Convicted of killing his wife and 2 relatives, he spent 14 years on death row. On the night of December the 11th, 2009, Wrinkles was put to death in this building. Superintendent Bill Wilson, who presides over all executions at Indiana State Prison, is taking me to its death chamber.
So these are the steps which an inmate who's about to be executed would take into this area.
Correct. There's a process or a time frame in which we do everything. But yes, approximately between 4 and 5, the night of the execution, we would bring the offender over here, and he would be housed in a holding cell until the time of the execution.
As the appointed time for the execution draws nearer, the prisoner is kept under close observation.
This is usually a very quiet time for the offender, though. Some make themselves preoccupied with television. Others just sit here and meditate and are very quiet for the last few hours. My job is one single event, and that's to put this man to death. That's very a surreal moment in time.
Overnight, the state has executed an Indiana man convicted of killing his wife and 2 of her relatives. Matthew Wrinkles died by lethal injection just after 1 this morning. A jury convicted him of killing his wife, her brother, and sister-in-law inside their Evansville home back in 1994. Police say he wore camouflage and face paint when he broke into the home and shot them. About a half dozen people stood outside the Indiana State Prison in Michigan City last night protesting this execution. He did not try to appeal or ask for clemency.
How do inmates react right at this point?
Every execution that I've been a part of, every offender has done it differently. Most have always at this point they've accepted their station, their position, the process, and that's happening. One of them, the first execution that I was ever a part of, the offender turned to us and apologized to us about having to put us in this place. And he basically said, "I'm sorry, you guys have to do this."
Do people resist? I mean, there's not very much to resist with handcuffs all around and being tied up to the gurney.
The only time I've ever had any resistance was one offender was passive. He didn't actually participate in movement. He didn't participate in getting on the bed. So we had to actually carry him from the holding cell and onto the execution bed.
Are there any words exchanged? What do you say?
Well, we do everything we can to make sure that the offender's comfortable. We do talk to him. We make sure that he understands where we're at in the process. We constantly are encouraging him to ask questions or just trying to be there for him. Once he's placed on the gurney, he's allowed to give a final statement. An actual death warrant is read to him so that he understands, again, why he's in this position. And at that point, then, we start the execution process.
big guy.
Every week, on average, 9 new prisoners arrive at Indiana State Prison. The majority are young men. Many will spend the rest of their lives behind bars.
Are you suicidal? No. Are you sick or weak? No. Take meds? No. Are you being treated for medical, dental, or mental health? No.
There we go.
Yep. Lieutenant Gillespie takes me to cell house C, to which some of the new arrivals are assigned. It's the largest block at Indiana State Prison. It holds almost 400 offenders, nearly all convicted murderers.
See Charles 23.
Morning. Morning.
This is Sergeant Zimmerman.
How do you do? I'm Trevor McDonald. Hello.
Nice to meet you.
He's pretty much runs the house.
Yeah.
It's just after lunch, and the inmates are returning to their cells.
I can just see this chap stroking a cat down there.
Yes.
How did he come by that cat?
Well, we have a program, a PAT program here at Indiana State Prison that, based on conduct history and each offender can put a request in.
And they come by it as a privilege?
Yes, oh, definitely a privilege. Oh, yeah, it's not a right, definitely a privilege. And so the thing is, what it does, it gives them a sense of responsibility, help medicate that, so to speak, you know, that temperament, that stress that they may have throughout the day of not being able to talk to their loved ones or family members. So the cat replaces that which they don't have or lost on the outside.
What's up, Big G?
Oh, they're interested in your cat.
Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm Trevor McDonald. Hello, nice to meet you.
Ed Slater?
Yeah. So you've named him Roscoe?
Yeah, it's a she.
Oh, she.
What actually
I'm sorry.
happened-
Forgive me.
I kind of put an order in for her, right?
Yeah.
When you get put on the list for a cat, you ask, they ask you what kind of cat you want, a male or female. I expected a male because I put in for a male cat. So I had bought all this stuff and got it all ready, even named it because I knew what I wanted to name him. And then about a month later, I realized it wasn't a boy. I couldn't change her name then. So that's
So
what
Rascal it was and Rascal it is.
Rascal it was and Rascal it is.
And you think it's changed the way you look at your time here?
Well, it helps me get through my time. You know, like I said, if I have bad days or you just don't think you can take anymore, come home and she starts meowing and you know, she's like my kid. I've raised her since she was a little bitty kitten. And I love her like she's my kid, you know?
You use the word home.
Well, this has been home for the last 24 years, so really, I've been here over half my life, so I'll be 45 in August. Been here since I was 20.
And how long do you expect to be here?
Well, right now, I get out in November 2040.
2040.
Yeah, 2040. So
that's a long time.
A real long time. I'll be 72 years old. From 20 to 72 is a long time. The worst part is losing the family that you love, all your loved ones. And everybody that ever loved me, that never turned her back on me, those are the ones that are gone now. My mom died just a few years ago, and that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me in my life.
The pain of that memory must haunt you.
It crushes me every day. I keep a photo of her up on my wall, and she's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning.
May we have a look at it?
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This
is my mother.
That's your mother, yes.
This is my mother, and this is a picture that she had sent me of a cross, and she wrote on the back, she says, put this on your wall where you can always see it, love Mom, and I keep that right there.
Dennis Lear will spend more than 50 years in this prison. That's par for the course for most men here. Coming to terms with that seems almost impossible.
There must be people here who stand no chance of ever getting out.
True.
How do they cope with that realization?
I believe it's an individual thing. Once you come to the realization and to the fact that possibility, there's a chance that I'm going to spend all my entire life in the departments of corrections. So those offenders who come into the realization of that and embrace that are the ones that continue to live their lives the best way they can.
You talk about their embracing it. You use the word embracing
Yes.
it. Must be very difficult to do that, to come to terms with the fact that this is it. They're never getting out.
Yeah, some of the offenders I talk to, especially the young ones, and that's the problem that we have with the young offenders, truly have not embraced it. They say it's a time frame within 1 to 5 years, a high end of 8 years, that an offender fully realize of the fact that he's going to be here for the rest of his life.
And do people ever abandon all hope and give up when they realize that this is it, this is the end, they're never getting out?
Yes. Unfortunately, you have offenders, suicides in the Department of Corrections, and it's predominantly those offenders who realize that there's no more hope.
The closest any prisoner comes to life on the outside is the prison barbershop. It has an appearance of near normality. Convicts who work in it are among the most trusted in the institution. John Sawatka is serving life with no possibility of release.
Lieutenant Bowen, how long have you been coming here for your haircut?
To John, I've been coming for about 7 years. He was living in my cell house, so when I came in, it was just kind of a normal face to see, so I sat down, and he's been cutting my hair ever since.
John, is he a fussy person to have his hair cut or not?
No, sir, he's not. The lieutenant is an ex-Marine, so he likes it high and tight. But I was kind of put in check by a certain person in his life that doesn't like it real high and tight. She likes it a little bit faded, so I take care of what his wife wants. He has a very lovely wife. Take care of it. You're welcome. Be careful.
For 6 days a week, the barbershop is John Sawatka's world. It's his escape. At the end of his working day, the mundane reality of prison life is Dormitory F.
And here we are.
Yes, yes, this is where I live. This is F dorm.
Yes.
Yeah,
F dorm.
You have your different weight machines and stuff like that. This is the west side.
The west side?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
This is my cube.
And here we are.
West 51.
John, this is a privileged, relatively privileged part of this institution.
Oh, yes, sir.
But how do you find the fact that you have no privacy? I mean, you're living cheek by jowl here with everybody else.
Oh, no, there's plenty of privacy. You have this wall here, and this wall here. That's plenty of privacy.
But that's all you have?
Yes, sir. That's enough. Yeah. I mean, when you realize that that man, whatever he does, or that man or anybody else, has nothing to do with me, and I don't want to have anything to do with them. So this is my cell, this is my cube, this is my life. And that's all I need.
And what kind of trouble did you get into?
I just happened to commit this one murder. That's it. That's the only time I've been in trouble. I got busted for marijuana one time, but that was it. And that was a slap on the wrist. That was a misdemeanor, and that was it. And then after that, I committed this murder, and I took the lives of 2 innocent people. That's all there is to it. I'm guilty.
What were the circumstances, John, in which you took the lives of 2 innocent people?
There was a gentleman that I grew up with, and he knew another guy. Well, being that I was a dope fiend, this man presented pictures of my mother, my father, and my brother. My mother in the yard with her chihuahuas, my father coming out of the ice machine, and my brother getting out of his car in our driveway. And he said, as easy as it is to take these pictures of your family, that's how easy it is to kill. I can kill these people. That was my family. And I lost it. I don't know where I went, but I lost it. And he says, this is what I want done, and I took the lives of 2 people.
When he said to you, this is what I want done, what did that mean?
To take the lives of these 2 people, because he was trying to take over the tickets, the lottery tickets within Gary. And I didn't know any better. And when I thought he was a big time hoodlum. And I was scared. I was scared more for my family than I was my life.
I take your point about being, worried about the lives of your own family, but you could have reported him to the police.
I know, thought never came to my mind. Thought never came to my mind. I don't know why. I don't know why.
So, John, what was the arrangement about taking the lives of 2 innocent people? What inducements did he offer? Did he offer to pay you?
Yes, there was a pay, but it was minimal. I can't remember if it was $700 or $800. It was no money whatsoever. But I was just satisfied that nothing was going to happen to my family. That was the main thing.
You were offered money.
Yes.
To kill.
Yes. Yes, sir. Now, there's no excuse. Yes.
I mean, it's what you did is what might be termed
horrendous.
A contract killing. I mean, you were paid to do it.
Yes, sir. And I took the lives of 2 innocent people.
Did you know these innocent people?
No, sir. No, sir.
And how did you kill them?
They were stabbed to death.
Wow. $700.
Yes, sir.
The 12 men on death row are linked by a common fate. One day, they'll formally be told precisely when their lives will end. When that day and that hour arrives, Superintendent Bill Wilson will carry out the orders of the state of Indiana.
Mr. McDonald, this is Mr. Allen. How you doing, Mr. Allen?
Yeah, I'm glad this weather changed.
Glad the weather changed?
Yeah.
Miss Holmes, you doing all right?
Yes.
All right.
The superintendent makes a weekly visit to the prisoners on death row. The last man he sees today is Frederick Baer, who killed a mother and her daughter.
This is the last cell on the row.
Last cell on the block.
You can see Mr. Baer has an infatuation with one of England's most famous people.
She has been a lifelong love of mine since like 10, 11 years old when I saw her get married the first time to Charles. And I followed her all my life.
Why?
Because of her heart, what she represents. She's just one of those people like Mother Teresa, or Jesus for that matter, you know, just makes an impact on not only one part, but the whole part of the whole world. So that's my second love.
Your cat?
Yes.
Superintendent, what's your relationship with Mr. Baer like? How would you describe it?
Oh, I'd say we have a great relationship as far as a superintendent and an offender. With the death row offenders in particular, our destinies, our course in life will throw us in the same event. And as a result, I think it's important that I get to know these guys as well as I can, or as well as they allow me. And Mr. Baer's been one of the offenders that we've had some really solid conversations about life, where we're at, why we're here, how our destinies have actually led us to this point where at one particular juncture we'll participate in the same event.
That event that you talk about is that you will preside over his execution.
Correct.
Mr. Baer, what do you think of the superintendent having made in a compassionate way, as he described it, that cultivated that relationship with you, but in the end, he will be the one to take your life?
It's not actually Mr. Wilson's taking my life, so, you know, it's the state of Indiana that's taking my life. He's a good guy. He's a fair person. He'll listen, he'll understand, and he'll exercise judgment on what he has to do fairly. He's not discriminatory towards anybody, and I gotta respect that.
How do you deal emotionally with the fact that you know you will eventually preside over his execution, his death?
I've come to grips with it by virtue of meeting with my religious leaders of my particular church and how the church feels about it. I've also asked God for forgiveness for my feebleness in the fact that I may not always understand what his intentions are for us. What I do know is that man has been allowed to create laws. We enforce those laws, and up to and including the death penalty. If I don't understand, because I can't, because I'm human, of what God's true intentions are, then I ask for forgiveness for that feebleness.
I say this with some trepidation, but it seems that between you both, you have made peace with each other about what's to happen inevitably.
Yeah, I don't know that we ever had to say that we've been at peace with one another, but I think we've made the effort to understand where each other are in the process and how our lives are intertwined. And one single day will have the most effect on one another. He will always be a part of my life, and I then of his at some point.
I put myself on the path to put him in the position to do what he has to do. Again, affecting somebody else's life years later by one or several acts of stupidity and undescribable things that I've done in my past, shamefully, regretfully. As much as I love that cat and adore her and almost one shy step of worshiping her, I would give her up to undo what I've done. Thank you.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I'd now spent almost 2 weeks at Indiana State Prison. Convicts here face acres of time and limited horizons, and a routine that can be crushing in its monotony. But that can change in an instant.
Morning. Morning.
I'd been alerted to an incident in Cell House C. This CCTV footage shows a prisoner being dragged along the range after he'd been badly beaten.
How badly was the victim beaten up?
He was beaten up, I could say, pretty bad. You know, when I got there, I actually thought he was deceased because he wasn't moving at all.
You thought he was dead?
Pretty much, yes, because I had to get his door open. His door was already unlocked because he's a fireman. You know, firemen are out during the day. He was out, and his door was closed at the time. I had to get his padlock off because he was locked. Get in there. I touched him to move him, and he finally showed me that he was responsive. And one thing about it, his light was out. So whoever did it, they wanted to make sure that we didn't see it. You got to be prepared for anything and everything. That situation yesterday, it could have been me getting walked out on a gurney instead of somebody else. You have to be ready for it all.
The prisoners in this block will now be locked in their cells for 24 hours a day. It's an obvious safety measure. The prisoners see it as punishment. I went to see how Dennis Lair, who I had met earlier, was coping.
Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
All right.
How are things?
They're okay, I guess. They've been better.
Yeah. How would you describe the atmosphere on the cell block when there is a lockdown like this?
People don't like it. I mean, people have their families coming up, and there's no way that they can notify their family and tell them not to come up to visit. Like right now, I've got a cousin. Her stepson was in the hospital, had major surgery the other day. I don't know what happened. You know, there's no way for me to contact home. And so I don't know if he lived or died. You know, it was a life or death situation. But I have to sit here and I have to wait until I come off lockdown to find out what happened.
How many times has that happened to you since you've been here?
Oh, it's happened a lot. I mean, I've been on stretches back in 90 or 91 where we was locked down for like 11 months straight.
How do you cope with being locked down for that period of time?
Well, you got to deal with it. You find something to do to keep you busy. If you don't keep busy, you keep yourself occupied, you know, you might go crazy. You know, some guys do. You know, I'm lucky I've got a TV, got Rascal in there, so, you know, she helps me pass my time. I got my guitar.
How does Rascal cope with being locked in?
I don't think she likes it. I think she wants to get out on the range, but she's sitting at the bars now, so I think she wants out, get out on the range and run around.
The restrictions apply to her as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she can't come out either, you know. But yeah, she wants out too. It's hot on her too.
My time at this prison was coming to an end. I was surprised that so many prisoners talked about the possibility of freedom one day, perhaps as the only way to survive a long sentence, even if freedom is an impossible dream. Before I left, I asked for one last meeting with Frederick Baer in his death row cell. I made a final visit to death row. I asked to see Frederick Baer, who might well be the next man to be executed at Indiana State Prison. His crime still provokes outrage and disgust among the other killers here.
Love, 206.
One afternoon in February 2004, he talked his way into a house and killed a mother and her 4-year-old daughter by cutting their throats.
Baer, who lives in Indianapolis and was arrested there last night, was working in Madison County on a construction site. He says he got lost, and that's why he was near the Clark home.
When he was arrested, he strenuously denied any involvement in the horrific crime.
I'm not a violent person. I cry when a freaking butterfly gets hit on the windshield. That's how soft and sentimental I am, because I love life. Why would I want to destroy life? I was driving up and down that road like the witnesses said and everything. Yeah, that was me. I was driving up and down the road. I was aggravated. I was high. I'm not going to lie. But am I a cold, sadistic murderer where I can cut a little girl's throat? A 5-year-old girl's throat? No. I love kids.
But that was 8 years ago.
Hello, Mr. Baer.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
I wonder whether I could begin by asking you what you remember about your life growing up.
It's a normal childhood. I mean, I was adopted by my dad, about 5 years old. Wonderful guy, you know. Didn't have to, but he loved us anyway. And he adopted me and my brother. And life was okay. It was rough. Didn't know as life went on that a lot of the abuse and stuff would start, but alcoholism and stuff played a part in that, and then my sister passed and life sort of fell apart after that. But I mean, I learned a lot of good things before that, and you know, hard knocks, hard lessons, but you know, we all have a hard life one way or another, so I'm not the only one that's been beat on and all that, you know, so, but relatively normal to some certain extent, you know.
Do you remember the first time you broke the law?
Yeah, I was, I've been a thief all my life. That's all I've been. That's all I've ever been. I'm not proud of that fact, but that's all it is. You know, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm a thief. I've always been a thief. I started stealing Matchbox cars when I was in kindergarten, and then at graduated, you know, stealing cars, Matchbox cars from the store, shoplifting and stuff. And I graduated from that to stealing money. You know, then just stealing all my life.
When you look back, what is it you would say that set you on the road to crime, stealing and drugs and so on?
That's a hard question. After my sister passed away, life sort of fell apart, and I kind of gave up. She was like a big figure in my life. I sort of just gave up and I stopped caring because, you know, somebody as nice as she was could be done that way. And I ended up being sort of the same people that, you know, did to her what I've done to others to get here.
Tell me about the incident that landed you on death row.
What'd I do to get here on death row?
Yep.
I broke in a house. I walked up and under the ruse of being lost, I walked in and I knocked on the door, asked to use the phone. If somebody, you know, if nobody answered the door, then I would break in the house. Nobody was home. So I knocked on the door and a little kid answered the door. And so my first thought was, could I use your phone? You know, throw it off. Her mom came to the door and I asked to use the phone. Being withdrawing from meth and they didn't see my face, you know, I was just really wasn't there. My intentions was to rape her. And I couldn't go through with it. But I'd already gone too far, and to back out now, I know where I was headed. I was headed back to prison, and I guess I just thought that if I killed them, nobody would never know. And so I cut their throats. I cut both of their throats.
Help me to understand that. You went in with intention of raping the mother, but you ended up killing both of them, including slitting the throat of a... Was she 4 years of age? 3, 4 years of age?
Sounds like you already know more than what I have to tell you. Yes, she was 4 years old. The mother was 24 years old. Mother's name was Corey, and the daughter's name was Jenna. And I was a cold-hearted son of a bitch.
You remember their names?
Yeah, through my paperwork. I didn't know them then, but I know them now through my paperwork. I know everything about them. Not everything about them. I on my calendar, in my date book, I've got their on my calendar marked for their birthdays.
Their birthdays?
Yeah. I mean, they're a part of my life, and I'm a part of theirs, whether they like it or not. They didn't want me in their life. I intruded in their life.
Yes, well, you're not a part of their lives because they have... They've died. They've been killed.
Right. I'm a part of their families' lives. I've killed a little kid.
In a most horrendous way.
In the worst possible way that could be imagined. You just don't know. I wake up from that still, and it's 7 years, 8 years almost now. I'll be here on death row. Well, no, it is 7 years. I'll be here on death row 7 years. And I still wake up, cold sweat, when I think of what I've done, especially to that little girl. She was at the beginning of her life, and I stopped that. How do you think I feel about that? No, you can't even imagine how I feel.
I can't. I can't. I've never believed in the death penalty myself, and I've always been against it, and I probably still am. But when I think about what you do, I begin to understand why people feel it should be the appropriate sentence for crimes like yours. Do you understand that?
I do deserve to be executed. Bottom line, I ain't gonna candy coat it. I deserve to be executed. By the laws governing this state of Indiana, I deserve to be executed over there.
And the death penalty was put in place for people who did
what I've done.
What you did.
Right. I mean, there's no way around it. If a person does what I've done, they should be executed, bottom line. That's according to the laws of the state of Indiana.
I eventually took my leave of Indiana State Prison and the 1,900 men confined within its walls. But the memory of what I saw and heard here will stay with me for the rest of my life.